This is a hot one. What to do when a parent wants therapy and the child does not. My father often says, as children grow up, when the preschool child is stuttering or has any other issue, the parents don't ask the child, do you want to go for therapy? They make a phone call and they go. The child doesn't call. The parents are the shareholders, not just the majority shareholders. They are the shareholders. They look out for the child's interests. They worry about the child's well-being in the present and in the future. And they are the only ones whose decisions really matter. As the child gets older and becomes a school-age child, they are a person. As I said in another piece of this webinar, we need to treat children like people. And children tell us things, and we need to listen to what they say. So if a child is resisting going to therapy, we need to respect that. We need to listen to that, because as they get older, they start to own a couple shares of their life and of their challenges. And so in due measure and in the right way, we need to start to allow the child's voice to be heard, even if it's not what we wish to hear. Now, that being said, let's say a child protests and a parent has great concern and great interest to get them help. That doesn't mean that the parent is stuck. A parent has decided that they want to get help. A child, a school-age child or teenage child, is not interested. I sometimes encourage parents that they go ahead, schedule the appointment, and tell their child, Mommy and Daddy noticed that sometimes your words are getting stuck. We love you to pieces, and we found someone who knows a lot about kids whose words get stuck, and we want to get some help, some tips, some advice, how we can do the best we can for you. Would you like to come? So that might be a creative way to engage an older child. You can engage a younger child in a different way. Very often, the resistance that kids have to therapy is based on past experience. And sometimes, it bothers me to say it, but the word therapy is not the best word. So I often tell parents, just that introduction. And for a preschool child, tell the child, they're not going to a doctor. They're not going to get shots. It's not going to be painful. In other words, a child comes up with all kinds of reasons, good reasons, why they don't want to go to therapy. So sometimes instead of getting reactive to the protest to therapy, it's important to ask ourselves, what are they protesting? Oh, they think they'll go to therapy and get shots. Don't worry about it. Or you think you're going to go to therapy and we're going to leave you there in a room with a stranger. We always tell you, don't talk to strangers. We're going to leave you in a room and we're going to go on the outside. So thinking about what the child's concerns are and alleviating their concerns can be a big step forward to help the child not be concerned. And then, even if they are protesting, you could try to just say, we are going to go because we heard that it might be helpful. Would you like to come? And often the young person will want to come and continue to protest to some degree. And even when they come, we offer the young person the opportunity. Would you like to come in with your parents, or would you like to sit outside? My father has a beautiful story where someone was moving across the country and they chose to move to a certain neighborhood in New York City so they could be within striking distance of my father's office. And they bring this teenage young man, who I also had the privilege to meet. His name is John. And John comes in and he doesn't want to have anything to do with therapy. Now, his parents just moved across the country to be close to the therapist of their choice. They chose a neighborhood and a house that they could drive to this therapist. Child doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He doesn't want to come into the therapy room. He's sitting in the waiting room. So my father says to the parents, well, what does he like to do? He likes to play chess. Would you mind if I play chess with him? So my father played chess with John for several appointments. And he told John's parents, I just want you to know, I don't know if this is going to go. We're still at the rapport building. He's still very resistant to anything else, but he will come in and play chess. Are you comfortable with these sessions going on like this? And the father said, anything you can do to warm him up, please proceed. Eventually, John opened up and had a very powerful experience. But it took trust and building trust. And very often when a child's protesting, there's either a misunderstanding or some miscommunication of the use of word therapy or some past experience or reason why they're resisting. And if you can unpack that, you can really address the true concern and then they're actually interested in coming if it's a good therapy. And then, of course, on the other end is making sure it's a good therapy, making sure that therapy is friendly, is inviting, is normal, and is helpful. So I think that addresses the question, how do you work with children who might not want to be in therapy? I also think it's important that if a child is going through something significant in their life, if they have a significant stutter, it behooves a parent to give them an opportunity at some point to learn what it is and what it's not, and to know that help exists. Whether the child is incarcerated in therapy is certainly not something we would advocate. I think you want to give a child an opportunity and an invitation. Sometimes we present it as a project. Would you be interested in a little project? We'll meet for 3 times, learn a little bit more about this whole speech thing. Would you be interested? And then you get a buy-in for maybe 3 visits, and then you reapply and see if we want to go further. And often that becomes a way to overcome some of the resistance that may be there at first. But once you build that relationship and give a good taste, things can really move forward in a productive fashion. So I think parents have to listen to themselves, have to pursue the help that they feel they need, and respect children's feelings. But sometimes it's a discussion, sometimes between them and the child, and sometimes with a good therapist to talk about what the child is not ready to do and what they are ready to do. And if the therapy is a good therapy, then the therapist is going to understand what they're ready to do and build on that and stay away from the things that they're not ready to do.